choice is made.
Whoa! Nobody choose anything! Did you choose anything? No. Did you?
No, mine is totally blank.
I didn't choose anything! I couldn't help it. It just popped in there.
What? What just popped in there?
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Hello, Bots of Books fans, this is Scorp1701, and tonight we will be looking at the Diamond Select The Real Ghostbusters Mr. Stay Puft. And this will close out our line of Ghostbusters that we've been looking at. This is the last one of Series 10. And after the quick review of Stay Puft, I'll do a complete review and say what I liked and disliked about the whole set. So, getting started, let's take a look at Mr. Stay Puft in the box. You can see it's a very big blue box. It has the Real Ghostbusters here on the side. Select as in Diamond Select. Mr. Stay Puft, deluxe action figure with accessories and diorama pieces. On the bottom it has warning, choking hazard, small parts, not for children under 3 years old to eat. So, very good with that. At the top you have ages 8 and up to play with this thing. You have the nice caution tape at the bottom. Oh, on the left side of the box you have a nice profile picture there of Mr. Stay Puft. He's looking all happy. And this is before he got roasted by the Ghostbusters, which is always, enough to put a frown on your face. Alright, flip the box over. We can see Stay Puft there with a Peter and Ray and the rest of the Series 10. And a little bit of read up on him. It says, Mr. Stay Puft is the official mascot of the Stay Puft Marshmallow brand. Unfortunately, that legacy was tainted when the interdimensional conqueror Gozer chose that form with which to subjugate the human race, unleashing confectionery terror on the streets of New York City, while the physical form of the Ersatz Marshmallow Man was destroyed by the Ghostbusters. His spiritual form lived on, seemingly guided the altruistic mindset of the original fictional character. Confined to the Ghostbusters' ectoplasmic containment unit, he is only released when help is needed to defeat a larger, more formidable spirit. Also, he can be used as a parade balloon. Okay, so going into a little bit of stuff that they did on the Ghostbuster cartoon there, and that's Mr. Stay Puft. You can see at the bottom there's some credits for the box, and that is all there is. Okay. Nothing on the side, nothing on the top, and nothing on the bottom. So that is Mr. Stay Puft in his box. But no one wants to see him in the box, so let's take a break and get him out of his box, and I'll be right back. And here we have Stay Puft out of the box. And in his box comes a set of instructions to fix up the diorama, which we're not going to worry about. A little pamphlet to show other Diamond Select Ghostbuster products, which look pretty nice, but nothing we haven't seen like 4 or 5 other times before. It has 2 exclusive diorama pieces, which I could care less about, and that's everything in the box. And here is Mr. Stay Puft. Stay Puft. And might be a little dark, but I want to make sure I don't blow out the contrast of the figure with the background. Mr. Stay Puft stands approximately 8.5 inches from his feet to his little sailor hat, and he's quite heavy. He's got a little bit of heft to him. You can see he's wearing a white sailor hat with a little red ribbon on the top. It says Stay Puft around the top there. Coming down to his happy little face, he sees little black eyes. Has a pink tongue in there, which is pretty neat, I guess. Black mouth, navy blue, I don't know what you'd call this thing. Dicky cotton. It's not really a dicky, it's just like a shoulder bib. I don't know. And he also has like a little red bow tie there, string scarf. His arms are made up of marshmallows, 1, 2, 3, and then little fingers are made up of marshmallows, so that's pretty neat. He has a little blue wash along the edges, so you can see, make a little bit of blue there. See if I can lighten it up just a hair, so you can make out the blue. On the back, he has just basically big white, marshmallow man, and that's pretty much what you'd expect. So, for articulation, his hat doesn't move. His head, though, is kind of on a hinge that goes up and down, and it can actually be brought up to where it sits right off the body, which is kind of just a little higher, or you can set it from the back if you like, bring it up back and forward. So that looks kind of weird. You don't want to do that, but you see the hinge there, it goes up and down, so that's neat. Put that back. His arms are made up of 3 different pieces. You got this inner piece that goes around 360 degrees. This middle section here also twists 360 degrees, and his hand can twist 360 degrees. So he can get his hands moving. And pretty much, and his feet, you have this one big part here that twists in and out, or 360, and then you have his actual foot that can twist 360, and you gotta adjust them well, or else you won't stand. And that's pretty much it for our articulation with Mr. Stay Puft. And for some comparison, here he is with the original 1984 Stay Puft. So you can see how they look together. Little father-son thing going on. Oh, they're so cute. Okay, fine. I get those out of there. Here he is with a 1984 Slimer. So they were like big, huge, Here he is with the original Peter. You see, you get a scale of how the new Stay Puft holds up to the Ghostbusters, so that's, not as big as we'd hope. So, obviously, with the older Ghostbuster, he's definitely not going to be that big compared to one of the newer Ghostbusters. But here he is with Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. Okay, so there's some Batman action there. So, he's not that big. With Batman. So Batman out of there. Here he is with this. This series is Slimer, so that's pretty neat. Very cartoony characters together. And last we have the Peter from the Ghostbuster wave. So I mean they're almost the same height. That's kind of sad, but I mean. I think if you looked at the little pamphlet they gave us, there was a 24-inch Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I probably could have gotten him, and that would have been somewhere along the lines of being on the proper scale. But anyway, there he is. And that's pretty much Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. He can't do much. He can walk him around, and it's interesting. I think they just threw it in here as like a nostalgia piece. So, yeah. And that will pretty much close out the review on this guy. So, let's go ahead and get to the thoughts about the wave in general. So, now that we've reviewed all of the Real Ghostbusters figures that Diamond Select is putting out with these last 2 waves, 9 and 10, let's talk about the waves as a whole. Talk a little bit about sculpt. When it comes to the Ghostbusters sculpt, the bodies are all the same. So the only real difference you could do with the sculpts are the heads, and I think they nailed the sculpts on the heads. The exceptions, I guess, the expressions on their faces, I think, are a little odd choices. Egon looks really serious. Winston looks okay. Peter looks stoned, and Ray just looks goofy and stoned, as it were. But other than that, I think the sculpts are good. Articulation, The articulation is good. They try to bend it every which way they can. Legs, a couple double joints there, elbows, wrists, hands. But the thing about articulation is it's like you're taking the figure, you're breaking it, and you're putting little hinges in it. So, whereas a lot of articulation is good and it makes the figure do all sorts of bendable poses, it also gives it the ability to get loose in certain areas and then eventually over time be a wobbly mess. So I don't know if these toys are going to go that way. I hope they don't, but I do like the articulation. The paint, I'll give the paint a 50-50. Half of my Ghostbusters were painted really well, and then some of the the other half weren't painted that well because their accessories needed some extra coats, and they got some smudges here and there. They weren't very careful when they applied certain colors, and they bled. But, you know, that's a nitpick. The point is the colors were very accurate to what they were in the cartoon, and I love that. Accessories are great. You couldn't ask for any better accessories for the Ghostbusters. The proton packs, the traps, the PKE meters, the different hands and gloves. I'm not going to use those, but I think it's nice that they threw those in as kind of an option that you could use. If I had to critique anything about the accessories, it would be the proton streams. And I like the fact that they were the same color as the ones, the original toys that kind of released in 1984. But I didn't like the little electronic effect being different colors. I wish they would have been either all dark blue or all light blue. But, you know, that's just a weird little nitpick of mine. But the way that they did the proton streams, where the little colored parts would peg into the little plastic parts, I think they did that where the colored parts were too sharp and they were very fragile. Because when I was doing my review on my Egon figure, his proton stream broke and I had to super glue it back into the little plastic part. But that's the only critique about the accessories, and it's not that big a deal. Playability, when you're talking about are these guys, can you play with them? You can, but I think for the most part these were made to look good in a display or posed on a shelf. I played with them a little bit in my reviews, but the problem was when I started bending them around, some of the paint got clogged into the joints, and trying to get those loose, I wound up breaking Winston's arm. And that was kind of a bummer, because I had to super glue that back on because the hinge broke because it got clogged with paint. I know a lot of people say, well, you know, you could solve that problem by using a hairdryer to heat up the paint and the joints, but I don't really think I should have to do that. But for the most part, you can play with them. Just be very careful. I wouldn't make it my primary goal with these games. Finally, let's see. Shelf presents. I think they look good on a shelf. They display very well depending on what you have them doing and how big your shelf is. Mine, as you can see here, is kind of small, but you get a little light in there, and they're a jewel in your collection, like I said when I was reviewing Peter. So yeah, I am very happy with this set, and I couldn't have asked for a better set. So yeah. And that about wraps up everything I have to say about it. We've been needing a new updated Real Ghostbusters for a while. DC Direct, thank you again for giving this to us. Now, from what I heard, if the series went over well, they would do some more. What I really need from these guys is a cartoon accurate Janine. And I need a Boogeyman, a Samhain, and I don't know, a few others would be neat. But anyway, that's my take. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and have a great night, and I'll see you later.